There's no opportunity for accent. So an example that I could give is the letter and the letter ah. Now in English, we use the letter A like the letter at the end of the word yoga, okay, or the A at the beginning of the word asana. Actually, asana is a perfect example because there's several A's sounds in that. Now in Sanskrit, there are two sounds, and ah, and those are two distinct sounds with two distinct symbols in Devanagari, but in English, we use the same letter A in order to represent both of those sounds, unless you are using transliteration, and that's a way to represent Sanskrit using another language. And so if we are going to represent Sanskrit with the English language, then we would do two different A's. So this, if you can see it, capital A, plain one, is a, like the sound in cup. And this one with the line above it is ah, like the sound in father. And ah, okay? Now I'm not going to do this with all of the letters. My husband and I actually teach this in yoga trainings, proper pronunciation, and we teach you how to read transliteration, how to properly pronounce Sanskrit when it's represented in English. But I'll just use the word asana in order to help us see how to properly pronounce the word asana. Someone used that as an example of something that she has seen pronounced in many different ways. I think she said some people say asana, some people say asana, and some people say asana or something like that. So there are no different ways to pronounce this word. And if you know transliteration, you can learn it, asana. So that first ah sound, the A with the line above it, is ah, a long ah like father. And the other two A's are considered called short A's, and it is an sound like cup. So asana, okay? And so it goes like that. Now, I'm not going to go through, as I said, it's lots of transliteration rules and so on. That takes a couple hours to go through and to practice. But it is an amazing tool once you have it at hand. Even if you don't memorize it, you could have a little guide to go back and refer and see how to properly pronounce the many Sanskrit words that you might want to use for technical meanings in Ayurveda or yoga or both. Before I go through some terms, I'll just give a couple examples of things that could be mispronounced with problems associated with the mispronunciation. So an example is the word mala. Mala is a word for a garland, as many of you know. So the mala beads are used often to do mantra repetition. And so if you pronounce it mala, M long a la, mala, then you're talking about the prayer beads, the garland beads, or a garland. And if you say mala or mulla, then you're talking about bodily waste, like feces. So you can see how very important it is to know what the sounds are supposed to be. Mala is a garland, okay? And mulla is bodily waste, okay? Another example is ananda and ananda. Ananda is how a lot of Westerners pronounce this word, attempting to mean ananda, which means free from limitation or limitless. And sometimes we also translate it as a bliss because the experience of limitlessness is like a bliss experience. So the correct pronunciation is ananda, but often this word gets pronounced ananda. And that's not even actually a word in Sanskrit, but it's close to a word that really means the opposite of ananda. Ananda means that which is limited, okay? And ananda means that which is limitless or free from limitation, okay? I'll give one more. So kala is a word that means time, kala, and kala means a skill, like the skill of yoga or the skill of Ayurveda. Kala means time, kala means skill. Very similar, and if you wrote them down in English without transliteration, you would easily mispronounce or not know how to properly pronounce those words. I'm using all examples with that versus sound, but this is throughout the whole language. There are lots of different ways that you could get confused without having a transliteration tool if you don't know how to read Devanagari, which most Westerners don't. Okay, So let's go through a few. So we did asana, asana, and now Ayurveda, Ayurveda. Okay. And then vata, so it's a long vata, pitta, and technically it's kapha. There's actually really no f sound in Sanskrit, but in Hindi, which is a different language, not a different accent, in Hindi, the p sound is f, and most of our teachers from India are Hindi speaking, and so they'll say kapha. But if you really want to be technical, the Sanskrit word is kapha. And then prakriti and vikriti. Prakriti, vikriti. You sort of roll the R. Prakriti, vikriti. Kshatriya. Someone asked me to pronounce the word kshatriya, which is the Sanskrit word for the category of people that are warriors or warrior type people. And so kshatriya. And she also, this is Sylvia, asked for prasadam. Prasadam is that which is given by God. Prasad or prasadam. So it's prasadam. Hatha, as in hatha yoga. Okay, so yoga is easy. Everyone pronounces that correctly. And not hatha yoga, but hatha yoga. What else can I give you? Ganesha. Ganesha. Not Ganesha. Ganesha. Let's see. Chakra. Not chakra and not chakra. Chakra. It's a short like cup in chakra. Let's see. Shiva. Not Shiva, Shiva. And Krishna. Krishna is the incarnation of God that who shows up in the Bhagavad Gita and many other stories. Krishna. Himalaya. Himalaya. Not Himalaya. Himalaya. And this one is used in Ayurveda. That thing that you stick up your nose and pour water through, and even water plus herbs, is a neti pot, not a neti, neti pot. And bhakti, okay, which is the practice of unconditional love or devotion to the Lord, or even unconditional love in your life, in your relationships, and so on, is bhakti, not bhakti. Bhakti. And I'll leave you with two more, which are the names of